Good morning, grade 11s. I'm Mrs. Swap and I will be your maths lit teacher this term. I will only be your teacher up until March and then I will come back in August. During that time, you will have a substitute that will carry on with the lessons. Okay, what do I expect of you this term? I expect you to bring your textbook, notebook and calculator every day. I expect you to take notes during the lessons. I know it's a bit weird since this is a video lesson, but you'll need to become used to it. If you don't understand something, please ask. I expect you to do the activities and exercises that I give you. If you want all the video lessons on a flash drive, you are more than welcome to bring me one, then I'll put it on there. Or you can access all these videos on YouTube. I will also give you the link to the channel. Like I said, if you don't understand something, please ask. You can WhatsApp me on the given cell phone number. I will only be available and respond to your messages in school hours. That is from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock on weekdays. If you contact me outside of school hours, I will only come back to you the next day. Okay, so what are we going to do for our first topic? Measurements, conversions, and time. This is in your textbook on page 38 to 51. I already asked the EA to give you a revision activity. Hopefully all of you have done that. But okay, let's revise a bit the metric system. Most of you probably know this rhyme. King Henry died drinking chocolate milk. So we see there's a K, an H, a D, D, C, and an M. The K stands for kilo, the H stands for hecto, the first D stands for deca, the second D stands for deci, the C is for centi, and the M is for milli. You might be more comfortable with the K, the C, the M, because we usually just work in kilometers, meters, centimeters, and millimeters, or we work with kilograms, grams, and milligrams, or kiloliters, liters, and milliliters. We seldom use these in between units. Okay, so if we have, okay, let me go on to the next slide before I continue that sentence. Okay, if we have kilometers, meters, centimeters, and millimeters, and we want to move or convert between kilometers and meters, how do we do that? So let's say we have 5 kilometers, and I want to convert it to meters. Each jump is times 10. So if I take 5 kilometers, or that 5 times 10 times 10 times 10, I will get 5,000 meters. So that is equal to 5,000 meters. So you can just remember this. Each jump is times 10. If you go smaller, so you have a big unit and you want to go to the smaller unit, like kilometers to meters, or meters to centimeters, or centimeters to millimeters, times by 10. If you are going from small to big, then you divide by 10. and each jump divided by 10. So let's say I have 700 centimeters and I want to know how many meters that is. Then I take 700, because it's centimeters, divide by 10, and divide by another 10, which gives me 7 meters. The same applies to kilograms, kiloliters, liters, grams. Each jump is equal to 10. Either times 10 if you're going smaller, or divided by 10 if you're going bigger. So let's just make that clear. If you're moving from big to small, so let's make it like this. From big to small, you multiply by 10 per jump. If you move from small to big, so that is from big to small, this one is from small to big, you divide by 10. I hope that makes sense. Let's move on to conversions between different systems. This is on page 40 to 41. And we're looking at imperial versus metric. Most of the world uses metric systems, but there are some countries that still use imperial systems, mostly like the United States of America, where we in South Africa, we use metric system. This table, table 7a and table 7b, is in your textbook. I've just copied onto the presentation, but you can find it there. So let's say I have a 55-inch TV and I want to know what does it measure in centimeters. So how do we do that conversion? Let's look on the table if we can find inches to millimeters or inches to centimeters. Guys, see here, there's 1 inch is to 25.4 millimeters. So I'm going to use that. So this is the ratio that they give me. This is the conversion factors that I'm going to use. Now I'm going to multiply with 55, because 1 times 55 gives me 55 inches. And that's exactly what I want. But what I do on one side, I have to do on the other side. So I'm going to multiply with 55. It is like a seesaw. If you want to have it balanced, you need to have the same on both sides. If it's not balanced, one side will tip and the other one will go into the air. So it must be the same thing you do on both sides. 25.4 millimeters times 55 gives me 1,397 millimeters. But my question asked for centimeters. But because you know how to convert within the metric system, we can just convert the 1,397 millimeters to centimeters by dividing by 10, which gives me 139.7 centimeters. Let's look at the next one. 25 kilograms to pounds. So now we look for kilograms to pounds. We know it is a mass. So here it is. 1 kilogram is to 2.205 pounds. So I write my conversion factor and then I'm going to do my conversion. Okay, so I see we can just multiply with 25. 1 times 25 gives me 25. What I do on one side, I have to do on the other side. So 2.205 multiplied by 25 gives me 55,125 pounds. That's all there is. That's all there is to it. You don't need to do a lot of calculations as long as you understand you have to keep the ratio balanced. You can't do something and then just think it will be okay. If you do something on one side, you have to do it on the other side. With this method. There are other methods, but with this specific method, you have to do it on both sides. I'll show you the other method when we get to proportional conversions. And the next one, 16 liters to US pints. Okay, I can see we have US pints to milliliters and milliliters to US pints. However, we do not have liters to US pints. So I'm first going to change the 16 liters to milliliters. And I know I can multiply it by 1,000 to get milliliters. 16 times 1,000 is equal to 16,000 milliliters. Now I'm going to look for this conversion factor. 1 milliliter is to 0.00211 US pints. And I write that down. I want to convert the 1 to 16,000. So I'm going to multiply it with 16,000. But what I do on one side, I have to do on the other side. And if I multiply 0.00211 with 16,000, I get 33.76 US pints. But can you see the difference? In this first example, I did the conversion within the metric system at the end. With this third example, I did the conversion within the metric system at the beginning. So it depends on what the question asks of you. Now the next one, we're going to see both of that. So let's say I have 8,800 yards and I want to convert it to kilometers. 8,800 yards divided by 1,760 gives me 5 miles. So where do I get that 1,760? I get it from this table. Let me show you. It says here 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards. And because there's only conversions between yards and meters and not yards and kilometers, I'm going to change the yards to miles and then work with miles to kilometers. So after I've done that, that is my conversion within the imperial system. And I get 5 miles. And I see 1 mile is equal to 1,609 kilometers. And I write that down. Then I actually have 5 miles, which I calculated here. So I'm going to multiply each side with 5. And if I multiply 1,609 with 5, I get 8,045 kilometers. Let's look at the other method of doing this. Now with this next method, we do the conversion within the metric system and not in the imperial system. So I'm looking at 1 yard is to 0.914 meters. And I'll write that down. Then I know I want 8,800 yards. So I'm going to multiply with 8,800 yards on both sides. So when I multiply that, I get 8,043,2 meters. Then I'm going to convert from meters to kilometers by dividing by 1,000, and I get 8,043 kilometers. You can see there's a bit of a discrepancy. There is a 0,02 difference. That is just because the information they give us in the table is probably rounded off, and that's fine. This is the information they give us, and that's what we're working with. Okay, I want you to do exercise 1 on page 41, number 1 to 12.